crew, thank you so much for joining us. As we always do before we get started, we just want to thank everyone for the support over the years. We just want to show our gratitude. It really means a lot. You guys could be somewhere else, but you guys decided to spend your time with us. So I'm very appreciative of that. Also, too, make sure you go to dynastymurder.com. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe as well to the content. And go to Amazon and buy a book. Go and buy a book. You know, this is my sales book. Go and support and buy one on Amazon.com. I've also written a number of children's books. But we're going to jump right into it. We have a very, 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 very special guest, Dr. Harnet. It's just an honor to have you on with us. It's afternoon where you're at, it's afternoon where you're currently at. It's still morning here in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, I've been following you for years now. You are just about 1 in every 5 discussions that I have when it comes to African business. Your name is brought up front and center. So it is an honor to have you on, Dr. Harnet. Without further ado, everyone, Dr. Harnet. I mean, guys, round of applause. I mean, Dr. Harnet, everybody.
Yes, oh, goodness.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. And the honor is all mine. I've been following what you have been doing. So it's just wonderful to, be here on that platform together. And yeah, let's discuss.
Now, Dr. Harnet, for those that don't know you, can you let everybody know who you are, introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes, sure. My name is Dr. Harnet. I'm an Africa business trainer. So I'm an international trainer for the African diaspora by at large. And I show people how to do business in Africa or invest on the continent.
Okay. All right. And that's important as far as investing and doing business on the continent, because many people, they don't know where to get started. And you were I remember I bought your ebook, 101 Ways to Invest in Africa. Is that?
To make money in Africa.
Yeah. I bought your ebook. That was back in maybe 2014 or 15, maybe even before that. I don't remember what year it was, but I remember buying that ebook. And you were the first person, you're a pioneer, because you're the first person that actually articulated and documented and showed people how to make money in Africa. I mean, you're one of the first people to, because it's just this mentality, that I've been observing of people who want to go to Africa. It's like they just want to go and survive and live off the land, whatever that, I don't know what that means. But you're the first person to say, hey, look, I mean, you could thrive and strive and do well in Africa. And here are the steps. You're one of the first people to do that. What inspired you, as far as to really focus on Africa and get involved?
Yeah, well, so much to say, of course, but my background or my African heritage is Eritrea. I've always kind of rallied for the continent and how to improve, but my background is really in, international development work, which we know as charitable work. So I've worked on the continent since 1999 in the way I knew best at that time, which is, how can we help, with projects and things like that. And when this whole kind of narrative of business and investment and Africa rising came about, I was so intrigued that, I could support the continent in a different way where, we really support businesses and investments, where we grow the wealth on the continent, also Black-owned wealth, Black-owned knowledge in this regard, and where at the same time, I could stop being poor myself, because I think that's a problem that many of us have. We actually want to help the continent, but very often we do so from a position of, in my case, it was a position of poverty, so a position of poverty or a position of, lacking capacities or a position of limitations. And that, of course, it becomes very difficult to empower others when you yourself are not empowered. So that combination of really growing wealth in Africa, supporting the continent, while myself becoming financially independent, that was a power combination for me. And I'm so passionate about this because the more knowledgeable we become and the more we self-educate in regards to how to become financially independent, how to grow or start and grow, successful businesses, profitable businesses, and investments, the more can we actually support others and uplift others on the continent. And so it starts with self, and then we can build communities around that.
Right, because again, it's this idea that I think you can make a bigger impact on the continent if you have the financial resources to. But sometimes I don't know why, in some of these circles, that's frowned upon. Like, me, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, Afro-capitalism. But for some reason, it's attacked. I don't know why. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Why do we have this mentality? This once you are aware of Africa, you become woke. But then woke, for some reason, is synonymous with broke. It's like if you're woke, you got to be broke. Like, what's the root of that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can really understand people who think that way, because I used to be one of them.
Okay.
Absolutely. The reason for that is being that you usually grew up yourself in a kind of a poverty mindset. At least that was true for myself. Maybe it's not the truth for everyone else, but I grew up in a poverty mindset. So I had the same idea that if I want to help someone, it just needs to be out of heart. It has nothing to do really with money. And even when I'm an international development worker, I want to make sure I have a very limited wage, because I don't want to be feeling rich while I am helping the poor. So that was the kind of mindset I had. And no wonder that I got stuck in poverty for too many years. I actually started questioning all of that when at one point I hit rock bottom and said, okay, been educated in one of the wealthiest nations on the world, which is Germany. I live in a democracy. I have freedom. I have everything that I need. I'm equipped to become successful. How on earth did I end here at rock bottom?
Right.
And that was actually the moment that allowed me to really reflect, rethink, and say never ever again. So very often, I think when we are either on an individual basis or even as a community, when we face the extreme, just as we do now, globally with the Black Lives Matter, that is good, because it very often allows us to kind of get rid of the old and replace it with the new. And the replacement needs to start all here with your mindset. That's what I believe. So truly, as you said, Dinas Amir, is that we can support more people and make a bigger impact when we actually have, number one, money, and number two, influence.
Right.
And both of them are really, really powerful. And if you have both of them with an open heart, then they are good tools to support more people in life, or in Africa.
Right. Now,
Why we're here.
Dr. Harnet, I love rags to riches stories. Now, you said you hit rock bottom, but now you're in a position where you're financially free. And how we define financially free is you can do what you want, when you want, where you want, whenever you want, and no one can call you and say, "Hey, you got to come back to your job," or "Hey, you have 2 weeks vacation." How did you go from rags to riches? Like, can you somewhat? That might be a whole separate show, but can you kind of give us the Cliff Notes version?
Truly, it starts with self-education about how to do that and how you convert your poverty mindset to a mindset of abundance. So it started with that because, you kind of internally grow as a person, and the success follows you. It doesn't happen the other way around. So I could tell you, of course, steps I did and ABC, but the real engine behind that was my self-education. I'm Dr. Harnet. I have a PhD, in food security, and that was my background in the Horn of Africa. But nevertheless, I ended up poor. So it actually needed like a whole kind of new journey on self-education. Why did I get here? What do I want out of life? And what kind of mindset shift does need to happen in me that would allow to do that? And you touched on something before that, and that is, We often think, if we want to help Africa, we shouldn't be looking for the money. We shouldn't just be helping. But it starts here. And excuse me, this is my allergy. You see, I had a problem with my money mindset too. And that's why I never attracted money, because I had a very negative money mindset. I actually had to work on that. And now I embrace money. I embrace money as a tool that can do a lot of good. And, there's a big difference. If I'm serving 100 clients, or if I'm serving 1,000 clients, or 10,000, or 100,000. So 100,000 clients, yes, it means more money, but 100,000 clients also means more impact. Right. And the same is true, of course, if you're an influencer, and so, money does matter in today's world, I believe. And again, if it falls into good hands, you can do a lot of good with that.
All right, guys, make sure you hit that like button. Again, we have Dr. Harnet on. It's an honor. African Business Jumpstart. What was the motivation behind that? And can you go into detail what it entails?
Yes, so my company actually started when I decided to go from international development work into entrepreneurship in Africa. So I went to Kenya, and just like everyone else, I looked for the best opportunity. I met some farmers. I thought, oh, great, we could do something amazing with them because they have the access to the land. I have the knowledge because, I was in food security and agriculture. That is my expertise, my knowledge. And then I thought, okay, let's come up with a nice crop that could be used in Kenya, that is not very much grown. Let's do strawberries. So I started like everyone else, not really knowing knowing that I know agriculture, but not really knowing what it takes to start a profitable business. And I just realized, oh my God, this is not going nowhere, because I was still based in the diaspora, trying to catch up over the phone. And, I just suddenly, I realized that there were so many among us who had the dream, just like I had the dream, the wish, the vision, the ambition to do something, to support, to create wealth on the continent. But there was no one really to show us how to do that. We hear about these huge, big investments, another multi-million-dollar investment or another millionaire, but no one really shows us the steps. And I had friends who tried and who had failed. They put all their savings into an investment or in business. 6 months later, 1 year later, they're out because it did not work and everything was lost. And so I just reckoned, oh my gosh, there's such a huge gap. Let me be the one that fills the gap. That's how my journey started with Africa Business Jumpstart, and we've been growing strong ever since.
Now, what is it detail? So when people enroll and sign up for African Business Jumpstart, what are they gonna acquire? Like what knowledge?
First of all, we're kind of an online motivated, a lot of kind of knowledge and inspiration in this regard. And then, of course, there are people who really want to walk the talk. And those people have then the opportunity to work with me personally, where I guide them, towards the concrete investments or business ventures they want to start on the continent, and where I guide them kind of personally. Although I have to say now it's in a group setting because we have become so many, and also because we want larger impact. But yeah, I show them how to start a business successfully in Africa. First of all, which countries to start with, which are the best markets in Africa to start with, which industries. I explain the risks that you have in Africa and how to reduce them, how to mitigate them. Also how to find the best business models in Africa, what works and the approach to take, how to find reliable partners in Africa. Because very often we feel like, we met someone and then we were let down. So how do you find reliable and professional partnerships? And so it's all about not making an emotional decision, but to make informed business decisions.
Okay, awesome. Shout out to Blackjack38. Thank you for super chat. Two of my favorite Pan-Africanist family finally together. Exactly. Finally together. By the way, Dr. Harnet, I love your hair in its curly natural state.
Thank you.
Thank you. And everyone, again, thank you for joining. I mean, like I said, it's just okay, COVID. So, me and a friend of mine, her name is Jackie Johnson, we were pushing the Africa 2020 and Beyond initiative. That basically you have a small window to really get involved in Africa before, because right now the cost of entry isn't that bad compared to Western standards. But now with the whole COVID situation, that window might have opened up some more. I mean, how is COVID affecting African trade and African business and those who want to invest in Africa? Is it making an impact, a negative impact at all, or is it?
Well, of course, businesses have been impacted upon like everywhere else on the globe, especially the hospitality industry,
Oh,
tourism
yeah.
industry, that is a huge, industry for jobs in Africa. So yes, a lot of, businesses and the economy as such have been affected across the continent. But yes, there's also opportunity. Usually there's also opportunity wherever you have risks or a downfall of certain of the status quo. So where I believe the opportunity lies is, first of all, China was kind of the powerful trade body in the world, and everyone was trading with China, no matter if you're, a multi-million or billion-dollar company, or if you are starting a home-based business and you want to drop ship. Everyone is kind of thinking of China. And now that, those structures, and I think those dependencies, people are reflecting on them and they want alternatives for many reasons. And I truly believe that the continent of Africa will be that new alternative for many, and so in various ways. And in fact, you can see it already. Even China now, during this COVID disaster, are turning towards Africa, trying
Right.
to kind of keep those relationships going, because they know a lot of other countries will kind of turn away, and they need strong trading partners, and especially a strong position in the world. Now, it is so important that for us as Africans and African and diaspora, we have our own position. We should not be depending on anyone. We need to, and with that, I don't mean that we're just 100% self-sufficient. I mean, we're in a global economy, right? But it is so important that we let go of the dependencies that we had, on all levels, economically or mentally, emotionally, and that we really start building our own, because Africa is the big giant that is waking up. And having that sense of urgency to get in, that is really important.
Now, some people will use, I call it the Chinese stalling tactic as an excuse to not invest in Africa. They'll say, well, the Chinese are about to control Africa, or the Chinese run Africa, so I'm not going to do business in Africa. When people use that excuse, what would be your response to them?
Well, here's the thing. We can either sit by the sidelines,
right,
and worry, be angry, I don't know, be concerned, or talk about everyone else who is doing things not right, from China to, African leaders that we're not happy with, to everything else. Or we can actually get in there and be part of the change we want to see. I think it comes down to that. I mean, it's pretty easy for all of us, to just stand by and not do anything and just talk and complain. But it's a whole different game ball if you actually say, let me go in there and become part of that change. And you, for one, Prince, I mean, you're one. You really walk the talk, right? And you can see also how many you have inspired, how many people you have motivated, and how you have become a leader in your own right. You have a responsibility now. It's not just about you anymore. It's about all the people that you can take with you to guide them and show them the way, until they too become leaders in their own right. And at one point, everyone, it becomes snowball. In fact, more people will join in. The earlier, the better, I would say. It's up to us. It's up to us. I mean, no one can change the narrative of our continent or of our communities worldwide for us.
Right.
We need to do it ourselves. That's the bottom line for me.
Absolutely. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Some people say completely leave America and fully transition and move to Africa. Some people say, have, I guess one foot on each side of the fence. So be in America, also be in Africa. And then you have the ones that are like, I don't want anything to do with Africa. What are your thoughts? Like, how should you gradually engage Africa? How should you engage Africa? Should you just go all out and completely move to Africa? Should you keep one foot in the West, one foot in Africa? And the other option that, we're not going to consider that. So how should one engage Africa?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way. It also pretty much depends on everyone's own circumstances. I'm sure you are aware of it. I mean, we have children, we have families,
Right.
and sometimes, although, we are kind of ready to just pack and go,
Right.
sometimes it's not as easy because we have other people that are depending on us or that also have to, make a decision in that process. So it also depends on our situation, I would say, on our personal circumstances. The good thing is, and that's what I teach, there are business models and investment models out there for everyone. It doesn't matter, you can be fully on the continent, but then be aware that a different set of business and investment models will apply to you as to those who are saying, oh, no, okay, I'm going to be back and forth, I'm not going to fully relocate. I'm just going to travel into Africa, I don't know, once, twice, 3, 4 times a year. And then you also have business models and investment models available to you specifically and your circumstance. And that is where part of the self-education begins. Because not everyone that works on the continent where you need to be 100% on the ground, manage your business, will work also for someone who is traveling back and forth. But people are not aware of it. So they're picking the wrong business model or investment model, and then they wonder why it's not happening, So it starts right there. You have to find this alignment between your situation and where you're going and where you want to be in 5 years. That is very important. And yeah, I mean, how was your experience? You kind of, you didn't go all in as well, but when you were on the continent, it looked
Right.
like you were fully in.
Oh yeah, I'm fully engaged. I love it. I tell people Africa's home. That's home. I'm here in Atlanta, but my end game is definitely going to be Africa. And the thing is, I'm trying to encourage others to have that same mindset, because we continue to complain here in America. To be honest with you, people who are against, as far as moving and fully engaging Africa, those same people will sit here and complain about the racial injustices here in America. And for some reason, they hope, I'm just going to be honest, that one day white people are going to say, okay, Black Americans, we're going to split everything down the line 50-50. And I'm just like, you're delusional if you think that's going to happen. So I just believe everyone should have an end game. I believe it should be Africa, or Africa plan. I'm sorry. I believe everyone should slowly pull the resources out of America and put it into Africa. Because again, I'm not spending another lifetime protesting. We've been protesting for 400 years now. And on the rate we're going, it's going to be another 400 years. But some people, they're just, I don't know, they're content with that from what I observe. Like right now we have Joe Biden and Donald Trump. They're the same people, but one person wants to argue with you how Joe Biden is, I guess, more benevolent. And it's just like, no, they are the same people. They're the same side of the coin. So I don't know. It's just we're in and of course we have the COVID situation that's impacted us, especially Black people. So we're in an interesting time right now, and everyone's avoiding the conversation in regards to, okay, so why don't we slowly pull our resources out of America and invest it somewhere where it will be appreciated? Because you have to think about it, Black people here in America, we fought to integrate into American society, integrating our resources, integrating our skills, integrating our minds. But 50 years later, we're still protesting. You know, it's just we're
I
in
hear
a
you.
very
Yeah.
weird situation, and just people, they don't want to see other options, seek other options outside of America, which is, to me, is odd. So, but my experience in Africa has been
Well,
beautiful. It's been great. I mean, it's been wonderful.
I mean, here's the thing. You know, I absolutely hear you because we're all part of that. You know what's happening to our communities across the globe. I mean, it's a whole new chapter, and maybe we can do a live chat just about that one day.
Right.
But maybe what I want to say in this regard is, you know, first of all, we all have different experiences, and we come from a different background,
Yeah.
and that will also inform the way we act, or inform how we see certain things. Um, I mean, you know, my reality is that, being not of an African American background, but of an African European background, and then, you know, I was born and raised in Europe, but then also I come from a country in Africa also that is really struggling a lot. In terms of, you know, injustices, and in terms of human rights violations, gross human rights violations. And so unfortunately, you know, for many of us on the continent, we have those things happening there as well. Um, and so it is a, you know, the liberation, let's say, you know, to free ourselves from oppression, to free ourselves from yeah, the lack of freedom, really, you know, where we constantly feel we are not valued, our lives are cheap. That is one that is globally the case. And unfortunately, my truth is that it is not just white or Asian, but we have also on the African continent, you know, a lot of Africans causing a lot of these injustices and oppression. So what I'm trying to say is we have a long way to go, a long way to go, a long way to freedom, right? And that, I think that quest for freedom is it really has to happen everywhere. We have to kind of free our mindset, and it starts with replacing the old with the new. So I'm going to agree with you that, you know, the more of us that come back to Africa start building, because there we have huge opportunity. Let's start building there, because you may be no one in the West.
Right.
You're so replaceable, but come with the skills or the knowledge that you have, and start something, build something small in Africa, and you immediately become someone of of influence, of authority, and of importance. And it has to start with those steps. It's a long journey for all of us collectively, but I think we need to get started.
Absolutely. Shout out to Bright Eyes, K, Nibili, and things. I'm the father of the Bright Eyes, K, Nibby business. I am so appreciative of what Prince Dinas and Dr. Harnet are doing for the continent. I agree more than I disagree. There we go. Let's focus on what we could agree on. There we go. I appreciate that. Those words of wisdom. Now, as far as people signing up for the African Business Jumpstart class, it's online now. Well, it's always been online, but I know you used to go city to city, but because of COVID, that's kind of been postponed. So for those who are interested in signing up for the Africa Business Jumpstart, I have an affiliate link in the chat room. It'll also be in the description, and it's also on the screen at the bottom of where the banner is. So for those who are interested in joining or enrolling in Dr. Harnet's African Business Jumpstart class, there you go. Go ahead and enroll. And how's the process work? So they enroll, they have instant access to the classes, and are they live classes? Like how does it work?
Yeah, so the one that we're proposing today is basically like the most basic course I have. It is completely online, and it's just you're going to learn in your own time through training how to do business in Africa the right way. It starts with that self-education. How do you actually go about it? What are the steps? What are the sequences to take? What do you do? What you don't do? I touched on it in the beginning. What kind of business models work? Which business models don't work and why? How do you find reliable partners on the ground? I mean, what are the business models that the diaspora can start from afar if you're not ready to relocate? So I'm touching on all that in an online course. And yeah, I think it's the kind of information that many of us would never have access to otherwise. And the cost of failure, the cost of wanting to start a business, but then not getting it right because you just didn't know better. The cost of that is huge. The cost of that is huge, not financially only, but also in terms of motivation, your dream, So I truly believe it is so important we self-educate, and that's where I come in.
I agree with that because there's an individual on YouTube who went to Ghana. It didn't work out. Now he just bad mouths just Africa in general. So, and the thing is, like, I'm sorry for what your experience, but that shouldn't be reflective of all of Africa.
No.
So yeah.
Not at all. Chances are that when I ask him about his story and that I can point out, exactly why it has not, worked out or become profitable. Because very often we see, people making the same mistakes just because they're not aware of it.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the mistakes people make? I know you mentioned as far as getting with unreliable people, but like what? Just we don't want to give away the course, but what? Just a few mistakes, or what should people look out for when they decide to engage Africa, do business in Africa?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy to give away. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make, especially in the African diaspora, is they make emotional decisions. Oh, where are you going to invest? I'm going to invest in the Gambia. Why? Oh, because that's where my DNA test came from, or that's where I have an auntie or an uncle, or that's the country I'm from. I love it, or I've visited. It's a great country, and so I'll do business there. It starts with that. It's an emotional decision. Because your business model or the industry that you want to get started in, it may or may not be the right business model or industry for that particular country. We have 54 markets in Africa. And so understanding how these countries and markets differ from each other is huge. That is very, very vital because these countries differ in regards to opportunity ratio, in regards to risk ratio, in regards to which industries are priority sectors and which are in the infant shoes, and so many other aspects. So it starts with that. And another one maybe that I want to mention here is that very often you hear people come up with an idea. They come up with an idea that they want to implement. And then they want to implement it maybe across markets or even into regards to several products. And there's no strategy in regards to, first of all, how did you come up with this idea? Do you know if this is a good fit for the market where you want to get it started? Who is your ideal consumer base for that? Because we have people on different spending power in Africa and abroad as well. So instead of coming up with an idea and then trying to make that shoe fit, what you should do instead is look what the market needs. You need to take a demand-driven approach. What are the challenges on the ground, the gaps, the needs, the demands, the problems, and then find a solution to fix that.
Right.
That is the approach rather than your idea, to make it fit somewhere into Africa. So it is quite complex, but once you know the steps, you know exactly where the areas are that you should, that you can avoid making mistakes in.
Last question. What countries in Africa should people really focus on? I know you're in Rwanda, I'm Nigeria and Sierra Leone, but like I know, because we know it's not one size fits all. So what countries, specific countries, if you had to name like your top five, which five countries should people really be focusing on as far as investing in?
Well, let me name a few West, East, and South. And since I'm an Africa business trainer and I
Mhm.
teach to be strategic about your decision making, I teach that ideally you would start with what I call a low risk, high opportunity country.
Okay.
So there are different opportunity risk ratios in the country. So start with one where risk is relatively low as compared to the rest of Africa, but opportunity is huge.
Hmm.
So in West Africa, Ghana, Senegal, Ivory Coast, if you're French speaking, are some of these low risk,
Right.
high opportunity markets. Nigeria is a high risk, high opportunity market. Nevertheless, I also teach how to do business successfully in those markets, but
Hmm.
they differ. In the east of Africa, it would be Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania. In Southern Africa, it would be Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, for example. So I'm just mentioning a few where the risk is significantly lower than in other countries, both for your business and for your investment. And therefore, when you are a first-time startup, and you come to Africa maybe for the first time ever, as many African Americans do, I would highly, highly recommend that you start in a low risk, high opportunity country.
Now, Dr. Harnett, for people who want to reach you and ask you questions, how can they get in contact with you? And then what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. Anything else you'd like to share in closing?
Sure. I mean, my website is africajumpstart.com. There are a lot of free resources out there. There's an email address out there as well. If you want to reach out, we have a team that will respond to you. But generally, yes, I would just say, stay in the space. And the space, I call it, is the Africa business space. It is an amazing space to be at because, as you know, Prince Dinas Amir, as you know, there's so much happening on the continent. It's a continent that is growing, rising in so many aspects. It's an era that is so exciting, with packed with opportunity, and you can only become part of that when you engage and you walk into the space, but then you also remain in the space. And that space, that Africa business space, is an amazing space because, first of all, you do something for the continent of Africa. And I think that is what brings us all together. We love Africa. We want to see Africa succeed. But on top of that, in that Africa business space, you find the most amazing people.
Right.
My hope really is, to be very honest, not in the old guards that I talked about earlier, when I talked about injustice and all that. I have a huge hope in the new generation of entrepreneurs and business leaders on the continent. That new generation, it cares about responsibility, social responsibility, environmental responsibility. It cares about accountability. These are people, by and large, who want to give back to their communities, who want to build for the greater good,
Right.
and they are visionaries, they're leaders, and to become part of that, to rub shoulders and engage with these kind of individuals, that is so much more powerful than to maybe just stay on the sidelines and be frustrated. So what I would say, get into this Africa business space. There are amazing people part of that space, and it's still pretty kind of pretty small in regards to those people who are actually visibly out there, and who inspire and motivate and educate. And it is a very, very empowering space to be in. And I would just say, join. That's how it starts. It starts with a decision. It starts with a decision to become part of it. True, isn't it? You made a decision one day, right, Prince Dennis? You made a decision. It's your decision that got you where you are today. Yeah.
Absolutely. One last question, I promise. For
No
people
problem.
who are, I know you have your time.
I'm enjoying the
You're a
chat.
busy woman. I know you're a busy woman. I just have to ask this one last question. For people who are, I guess, wavering or, they might have an Africa business plan or they want to engage Africa, but they might be to a breaking point where they want to quit and say, you know what, I'm done. What words of encouragement will you give them? Because I remember I read a Facebook post of yours that when you were starting African business plan, like it wasn't easy. You had sleepless nights, from my understanding. You put in a lot of sweat equity, but you stayed the course, and look where you're at now. What words of encouragement will you give people like that who are on the fence or who are thinking about quitting? In regards to their Africa.
Well, I would say, first of all, don't quit, because the journey to success is not a linear journey. The journey towards success, exactly. It is just like everything else in life. It's an up and down. Now, important is that the up and down doesn't spiral downwards or stays, on the same kind of level. The up and down should slowly go up, but it's still an up and down. Now, chances are that when you struggle for too long, maybe you've been in business for a while and somehow it's not going anywhere, chances are that there are important aspects that you do not know. So there is a lack of certain knowledge of how to do it in a way that it would work for you. So instead of just saying, I had enough, this is not working, everyone is a scammer, or this, I had it, and people are just fed up, and you blame maybe others. It is important that you recognize there's something that you did not know or that you need to learn in order to reach your next level of success. So instead of being frustrated, I would say, look inwards. What is it that you need to change about yourself in terms of, your own growth, even as a business person? What growth do you have to make as a business person so that the success can follow? This is a big one for me, Prince Dinas Amir, because at one point, or not more than one, to be honest, but there were times, especially early in my business startup, I was frustrated because I put so much time and energy and money in, and I didn't get the results I wanted to see. And I learned the hard way, but I learned that I have to then look inwards and change something about me. And when I grow as a business person, the success and the money, will follow as a result of that. Again, never the other way around. And that's, I think, what most people do not recognize.
That was beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. With that being said, Dr. Harnet, thank you so much for joining. It is an honor. Do not be a stranger. Do not be a stranger.
Oh, no, that's it. We're family now.
Absolutely. And it goes both ways too. I will definitely be in touch. Everyone, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you share the video. Also, too, affiliate link. The affiliate link to enroll into Africa Business Jumpstart is in the chat room. It's also on the screen and will be in the description. If you're interested in enrolling into this dynamic course, I have not heard any bad reviews. Like I said, one out of every 4 or 5 conversations that I have when it comes to African business, Dr. Harnet's name is brought up. So her reputation is great. So if you're interested in enrolling in African Business Jumpstart, the affiliate link is in the chat room, is on the screen, it will be in the description. Sign up and hey, let's get this knowledge so we can be successful in Africa. So everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Go to dynastysamir.com. Go to amazon.com. Buy a book. Until next time, family. Dynasty Samir, search for Huru. Peace.
Thank you.